Ken said, mark my words, LSU will be the most overrated top 25 team this season. And then he said full stop. So you know he really means it. Thank you for the emphasis, Ken. Their over-under win total is 9.5 right now, for those wondering, at FanDuel. It's 9.5. What would have to happen for FSU or for LSU to be the most overrated team in the entire top 25? So that means take all the top 25 teams. It looks like LSU is going to be in the 10 to 15 range, judging by preview magazines. So if they're remembered as the most overrated team out of all of them, that means they went like 5-7 or 6-6. Because you know good and well, there are going to be a couple of full-on disaster years in the top 25. So for LSU to be the worst one, I think 6-6 or worse. What has to happen for LSU to go 6-6? Well, I figure you got to bank on Garrett Nussmeier not being anywhere close to the answer at quarterback. They never come close to matching the rushing numbers that they lost when Jaden Daniels went off to the NFL. Not only that, but you got the whole new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, unproven running back stable. You're replacing 2,700 receiving yards and 31 touchdowns. None of it backfills. So you've just got a middling offense that pales in comparison to what you had last year. That has to happen. And then I think also defensively, despite all these new staff moves, inability to make big moves in the portal at defensive line ends up costing you all year. I think lack of portal success has to bite them. Defensive line and DBs, they, if not regress, they just don't progress. And then I think the schedule difficulty has to verify. So you look at the preseason FanDuel odds to just win it all. LSU plays 5 of the top 20 teams to win the whole thing. And they got USC to open the season. Their first conference game's at South Carolina. They play Ole Miss. They go to A&M. They got Bama. They go to Florida. They got Oklahoma. All of those teams have to end up being good, and all of them have to beat LSU. So if all of that transpires, yeah, it'd be a bad year for LSU, and then Brian Kelly would have all kinds of uncomfortable conversations surrounding him. I'm not sure all that's going to happen. So this is a very unpopular take. Now, if I were to ask people over-under on LSU, you'd get a fair amount of under action, but they'd be saying 8-4 or 9-3. 6-6 or worse, just falling out of the top 25 entirely. People saying you were the most overrated team in the country, it's doubtful, but that's what makes it an unpopular take. But here's a good follow-up. I don't really have an answer for this. You guys can give it to me in the comment section. Let's say this is true for a second. We get to the end of the year, there's no bowl game. LSU's like 5-7. What do you do? Unless it was just injuries all over the place, the likes of which you've never seen. If their football team just isn't good enough to be 500 or better, what would you do? It's off the edge of a cliff in terms of comparable data points, like going back in history and finding some comparable situations. What do you do? Woof.